I've called the meeting to order, and I welcome each of you here to the special call board meeting this morning. Board members present are Ms. Nelda Sullivan, Mr. Marshall Kendrick, Ms. Paola Gonzalez Fusilier, Mr. Casey Phelan, and myself, Vicki Morgan. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that notice of the meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The invocation this morning will be given by Mr. Kendrick and the pledges by Ms. Sullivan. Board members absent are Ms. Maricel Chiano and Mr. Kenny Fernandez.
We ready?
Bow with me, please. Father, we come to you today thankful for the blessings you've poured upon this district and this community. We thank you for a successful school year in spite of the pandemic and all the challenges we've had. We thank you for your watch care over our families, our students, and our employees. We thank you for the way that you've blessed us in so many ways by being in Pasadena, Texas. Father, we thank you for this day today. Excitement in this room about promotions and changes and new opportunities. We know that you're in this and you lead in the leadership impact on our district. Father, we just pray for those that stand in the blue line for us, the military, our policemen, our firemen, all those that stand in line to protect us. And we thank you for them. We thank you for their bravery, and we pray that you'd protect them in all ways. Father, just be with us today and now as we make decisions, that we have good discernment and do things that are according to your will. In your name we ask it. Amen.
Amen.
Would you please join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
in the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Well, we got a full house.
At this time, the board is going to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations to hire administrative personnel and/or the superintendent's recommendations related to renewals, non-renewals, and terminations of contract for professional personnel. 551.071 to consult with district's attorneys concerning matters on which the attorney's duty to the district under the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act, to seek the advice of its attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or a settlement offer, and order to consider legal advice regarding items specifically listed on the agenda. 551.072 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. We'll reconvene in open session just as quickly as we can. The board is reconvening from closed session. It is 9:50 p.m., so we weren't in there very long. You didn't have to wait too long. At this point in time, let's see where we are on the agenda. We have no public comments, and so we're going to go right into administrative personnel, and I've asked Mr. Kendrick if he will make that recommendation and then introduce those.
I move we approve a personnel agenda A through the last page, G.
Second.
Now to second it.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Mr. Kendrick.
Well, I know y'all are not waiting for this tonight. The place is full, and that's great. Shows the enthusiasm of our district. We have several today. One who's not going to be here is Monique Cooper. She has been named position of counselor for Parkview Intermediate School for the 2021-22 school year. And she is not able to be here today, but we want to announce her new position. I'm not used to doing this, folks. It's usually the ladies that do this, so. Hang with me, all right? We have Nancy Silvestri. She's been named counselor of Sam Rayburn High School for 20 years. Where's Nancy?
Here.
You got,
Stand up.
you're here. Would you introduce your, would you introduce your family?
Yes, this is my husband, Manuel.
Hi.
And the Sam Rayburn crew.
We're about to have, board members, I think we're about to have a Rayburn versus PHS pep rally. I see my Eagles back there.
Okay.
Okay.
Next is Kelly Jurek. Kelly? Kelly's been named assistant principal for Malolo Middle School for 2021-22 school year. Congratulations. Do you have family with you?
I have my honorary sister, Shannon Martinez.
Okay, in your school group. Congratulations. Now we're getting touchy here. Lindsay Price. Lindsay's been named assistant principal at Roberts Middle School for 2021-22 school year. Congratulations, you have family here?
Yes, I have my husband, my mother, and my little brother. And I just want to quickly thank the board for always having a vision for our students and teachers. For Ms. Messenger at Kendrick Middle School, you've supported me every step of the way since I was a baby. And to my new family friend, Roberts Middle School.
Well, Lindsay, I have to say, I'm surprised we're losing you, but I'm glad for your promotion, and way to go, Misty. You keep bringing them up, and we keep losing them. The next one is Whitney Seawall. There's Whitney. Whitney's been named position assistant principal at May Smith for 2021-22. Whitney, do you have family with you?
My mom, Carol Ship, has come.
Okay, fine. And your family?
Family.
There you go. Next, we have Stephen Friend.
And you wore blue. He wore the Rayburn colors.
Hey, Chloe wasn't nice to me, and I can't get my green.
Stephen, do you have family with you?
Yes, the rural educator, my family, my wife, Ellen Frank, she's at Turner Elementary for,
Yes?
been teaching the past 11 years. I gotta give a holler out to all my CCSs, tag CCS, and all other CCSs. I love you all. I'm gonna be still calling all of you. You guys know that. And I appreciate all you guys that have supported me throughout the years, and I'm so happy to stay at PASADENA.
Awesome.
Fantastic. One thing, Stephen, I think that you won't have any problem with discipline. Congratulations. And next, we have Jessica Martinez.
She's on the phone. She's at Disney World.
She is not here. And another we lost from Bessie. Keep it up. But anyway, she is going to be the assistant principal at Pasadena High School, 2021-22 school year. Congratulations, and what a great improvement to see internal promotions and talent recognized in a great district. Are you taking pictures?
She's on the
She's on.
FaceTime.
Hello. thank you all, and that's the conclusion of personnel, and congratulations to all of you, and future success, okay?
All right.
I think she was introducing her family.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay.
She'll have to send us a pic on a ride or something. With her.
I think she's in Disney, right?
All right.
Okay, that was a good start. Thank you, Mr. Kendrick. Okay, if you are interested in the rest of the meeting, you are welcome to stay. If you're not, you're welcome to leave. At this point in time, we're going to consider and possible action to canvass the vote of May 1st. Election returns for position number 2, Pasadena Independent School District Board of Trustees, is determined by the manual recount conducted May 21st and 24th through 26th and identified in the Pasadena ISD Recount Committee and Supervisors Report.
You want me to give them just a few seconds?
Yes.
And then get started? Okay. Those of you who are staying, if y'all want to find a seat.
I wonder what happened there. I don't know. I don't know.
She was supposed to be named? Tony. Where's Tony? Can you get her? Will you get her? We got a confusion right there. Somebody was supposed to be named. Can you work on that? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go forward. So on May 1st, 2021, the Pasadena Independent School District held a joint election administered by the Harris County Elections Office, and we can shut just those 2 doors right there, just for sound purposes, and leave the other 2 open. Okay, so for positions number 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Pasadena ISD School Board of Trustees, the results of this election were initially canvassed by the board on May 12, 2021. Then on May 13, 2021, a candidate for the Pasadena ISD Board Position 2 filed a petition requesting a manual recount of the votes cast in the election for position number 2 in accordance with Chapter 212 of the Code and before the certificate of election was issued for the office. Following the approval of the petition requesting a manual recount of the votes cast in the election for this position, number 2, the district conducted the recount of the ballots for that position in accordance with the Texas Elections Code. Like Ms. Morgan stated, that began on May 21st and continued on May 24th, 25th, and 26th, 2021. Upon completion of the recount, the chairperson of the recount committee promptly prepared precinct-by-precinct reports of the committee's count and delivered it to the recount supervisor on June 3rd, 2021. The recount supervisor then used the report to prepare and sign a precinct-by-precinct report that will serve as the official statement of the vote count on May 1st, 2021 election position 2 of the Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees. Copies of the supervisor's report was delivered to the custodian of election records, each candidate, including the petitioner, and the PISD board members on Monday, June 7th, 2021. While the results of the manual recount did not change the overall outcome of the election for position 2, the recount committee identified one mail-in ballot that was counted and resulted incorrectly in the election returns to the district, which they had received from Harris County on May 11, 2021, and initially canvassed on May 12, 2021. Accordingly, the official statement of the vote count or election returns to be canvassed by the board for position 2 are included in the supervisor's report and the precinct-by-precinct charts that have been provided. And the overall results or totals are as follows. Maricel Quijano, 3,419 votes for 48.39% of the vote. Crystal Davila, 3,646 votes for 51.61% of the vote. 2 overvotes and 777 undervotes, bringing the total ballots cast in the election to 7,844 total ballots. As a reminder, because the recount was performed only for position 2 in the board's May 12, 2021 canvass of election returns. They will remain the official canvass of the May 1st, 2021 election for positions 1, 3, and 4 of the Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees. And is Joan in here? Where's Joan? Do I need to read out each one, or is that good?
I think that's fine.
Okay, to how we've done it? I'll just go ahead and read it out. So Maricel Quijano, for total, like we said earlier, 3,419 votes for 48.39%, and Crystal Davila, 3,646 votes for 51.61% of the vote.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So at this time, we're going to consider and possible action to canvass the May 1st, 2021 election returns for position number 2 at the Pasadena ISD Board of Trustees as determined by the manual recount conducted May 21st and 24 through 26, 2021, and identified in the Pasadena ISD Recount Committee and Supervisors Reports. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sullivan, seconded by, was that Mr. Kendrick? Mr. Kendrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. Next, we have budget workshop. Dr. Powell?
Yes, so board members, just to go back in a little bit of time here, if you recall, we estimated a deficit budget when we were last together at $22.8 million. Ken, there were a lot of unknowns. The legislative session was still working and giving us information in that, I guess you would call it budget, what do we call it, Carla? The budget template, thank you, was changing daily. So after a lot of work and the announcement of the ESSER funds, we are proud to say that we have an estimated budget surplus of right around $99,000. This number will change.
99 million.
99,000 for surplus, for surplus. This number will change before we bring you a final budget to you. After the legislative session ended on May 31st, we know changes are coming to our revenue, things like GT, got another factor for funding, things of that nature. So there's some changes that are coming due to House Bill 1525. So the only change included now for revenue is our federal revenue. It increased by $5.3 million. This is due to the indirect costs related to the ESSER programs or grants. ESSER 3 is the one that we've noted in the budget. The district is allowed to charge unrestricted indirect cost of 9.92% of the expenses in ESSER, which increased our local revenue. So we know that there will also be increases on the local side, again, because of the legislative changes, and as we get the update to the template, we will include those increases. In fact, we're going to Austin. Carla's leaving right after this meeting's over, and I'll be headed up there very shortly after to see what all we find out from the latest changes. As far as expenses, we've been working hard. Gloria has headed up some of that input that we've been getting from the community, our parents, our staff. I sent out a survey with our last email for the school year. A lot of our partners in the community about ESSER funding and how we can close that gap or address learning losses and keep schools open and safe for all with COVID-19. So you're going to see in here we increased the class size reduction amount to over $47.5 million. We are moving those salaries to ESSER 3. And in January, when budgets were submitted by several departments, they asked for one-time expenses, and we didn't think we could do those, but thankfully, with this additional funding, we put those back in the budget. So Carla will spotlight those as well. The rotation of uniforms for fine arts, maintenance needs and supplies, new buses, things for operations and warehouse, as well as laundry are listed in the budget. So we're not finished yet. We're still working hard, but we thought it was important to come together and talk about some of the positions. You know, when we have positions that are being added, there's a domino effect of recruiting the best, retaining the best, and of course, what comes after that. We're moving in a great direction for getting our students' needs addressed, both academically and otherwise, but our first priority, of course, is that learning loss. So we're making great strides in that direction, especially with the class size reduction, holding true to the smaller class sizes for elementary, middle, and intermediate, as well as with high school. Additional staff to support campuses for intervention. We have a long way to go to recover from COVID, but this is a great step in that recovery. So Carla, if you want to come up and just spotlight some of the things that we have changed since we were last together, I think that'll be helpful in our conversation.
Good morning, everyone. So like Dr. Powell said, there's a lot of changes that we've experienced. One of the biggest changes is we were notified that total of ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 is going to be in excess of $2 million, $200 million. So that was great news because over the next 2.5 years, we can take that indirect cost that will automatically go back to local. That number calculates to a little over $20 million that we will put back in the local dollars for indirect costs, which that is what that indirect cost is for, because we run the grant, we manage it, and all of our salaries are paid for out of local. So that offsets some of the items that we do. So some of the things that, as the template, anytime there's a new legislative, a new template starts. So when we originally did the budget, we didn't have the template yet as far as what the new changes were going to be. Wednesday, I received the first one. I worked through it. Thursday, I got the second one. So I'm like, okay, let's just wait until they finish all the changes. That's normal when we have a lot of changes. House Bill 1525 addressed the cleanup for House Bill 3. And some of those changes are to give us the weights back, because when we did House Bill 3, or the state did, they removed the GT allotment. And so this is going to give the GT allotment back. It's also going to give some of the CCMR money back where we weren't paying, or we weren't being paid correctly for our funding. So those are good things that are happening. However, I don't have a final template to run, so I'm kind of in limbo as far as the revenue, but by the time we get to the next budget meeting, we should have a good idea of what the template's going to phase out to be. On the expenses, we did, after Gloria and I sat through multiple meetings with TEA and any place we could find on ESSER, it was clear that they are going to audit this grant because of the money that's tied to it. TEA's going to, the federal government's going to, and then I met with our external auditors and they're going to. So we know we're going to get slammed from every direction on audits for this grant. So after Gloria and I met and we talked to Cabinet, we realized that our best thing to do is to put the ESSER funds into salaries. And there's a couple reasons for that. One of the main reasons is if you just buy a regular expense with a federal fund, you have to do a lot of guidelines. There's a lot of hoops you must jump through. There's a separate manual called Edgar that you have to follow, and those restrictions are a lot tougher than what we have on the local dollars. And so to get the items quick that the campuses and the departments are going to need, we move some of those expenses into local. And you will see that because I'll talk about that when we get to some of the expenses on how we did that. But one of the things that we did do was move most of everything into salaries. I know everyone it's only 2.5 years. What are you going to do with those positions? Well, through attrition, I feel confident that we're going to be able to absorb all of these positions into the local funds. But the main thing is we need to address that learning loss. And to address learning loss, it's class size reduction. The class size reduction with ESSER that we can do is at elementary, middle school, and intermediate. And so we've done that. And then we've added some positions just at high school out of local dollars. And so that's why you see the difference on why the high school teachers hit local and why the elementaries all are in that class size reduction. And we have certain things that I have to meet as an MOQ, maintenance of effort, an MOE, maintenance of effort, an MOQ, maintenance of quality. And what that means is I can't look at a campus that got title funds and move a person to a campus that didn't receive it. So where we don't receive title funds is at our high schools. That's why you're seeing those salaries come out of the new positions for local dollars. That was a lot, wasn't it? So our stuff gets kind of crazy.
Let me stop you there for just a second. Dr. Powell, what is the class size reduction? What are the numbers?
Well, honestly, we try to keep them, of course, below the 22-to-1, so they vary from campus to campus. We have some teachers that are fortunate enough to have in their elementary classes 15, 16, and again, the principals look at the needs of the students,
Right.
what, of course, the learning needs are of the children, and tries to balance that within. That's when we come back in the fall, when the kids actually show up, because of our mobility rate, we'll plan this spring, and then in the fall, we'll come back and say, well, this fourth grade is larger than we like, or this bilingual second grade class is larger than we'd like to see, and we'll either move people around, which the ASCDs work with HR beautifully on that, or we'll ask for additional positions at that time. So it really varies. The way they staffed was under 22-to-1. So again, 20 was what they used. So some will fall under that, and we'll just continue to keep monitoring it.
Okay, what about an intermediate middle school?
Again, it still varies because the way they build their schedules, some of them are running different numbers of periods, different subject areas run differently. When we got with principals, their main focus was intervention, having that additional position, which you see in the budget here. They want to use them in a variety of ways to help where they see the greatest need. But of course, each subject area is different. We have some AP courses that might have large loads, and then we have some that are specialized that have really small loads. And then again, it depends by subject and by student need and what the principal, what focus they've put on the master schedule.
Very good, very good. Sorry, Carla, I just wanted to...
That's okay. So we've also added some classroom aides to assist with the teachers, because when students are coming back, they've been through a lot. The pandemic was a lot for some of our students. And so some of these aides are going to strictly be to address some help with the teachers, so we can make sure that some kids may have meltdowns coming back into the building. And so that's why we have those extra aides out there just to help out. So we've added that. We've also added some technology positions. Over the last year and a half, the board's been grateful and approved a lot of new devices. And we can't keep up with all those devices on the staff that we have. So we've added some of those positions as well. And as far as the one-time request, we've added the uniforms for fine arts. We've added supplies for maintenance, because our increase in cleaning the buildings has come about, so we've got to make sure we've addressed those needs. We've added vehicles for buildings and grounds and technology, because again, we're adding more technology staff, so we're going to need a couple more vehicles. We've added 10 new buses for transportation. That way we can keep the size on the buses smaller to address some of the, still keeping everyone separate. We've also added a washer and dryer for the laundry facilities, because they needed a new washer and dryer, those massive commercial washer and dryers. We also added a Department 999, and this is to provide for $5 million in technology and $3.5 in supplies and software. We put it in the 999 as a department because we didn't want to add it to someone's department where they would get used to having that money, and then in 24-25 we have to say, I'm sorry, but we have to cut that out. So it's easier for us to track it, and it's easier for us to put it in here, so when we get to the ESSER monies are done, we can easily remove that budget, and it's not going to affect what someone's doing and how they're doing their planning. And then plus it helps because y'all know we do the zero-based budget for departments, so this way we will know exactly what's going in and what's coming out. And I think that's all of my changes that I have. I'm here for any questions that y'all might have on the budget. There's still a lot to come. This is not the final one, because I know I'm going to probably get 4 or 5 more templates before next week is up. So,
I mean, it's very much a blessing that we have these funds to address some of these needs. We did focus on student technology, so now we can look at teacher technology, classroom technology. We can, of course, we talked about class sizes, some of the maintenance needs that we have. You know, this board's been very generous. We've spent over $500 million on facilities in the last 10 years, but this will help us go even faster before we go to another bond. Of course, with, student we need to make sure we're doing high-impact tutoring to make sure they're getting the best intervention during the day, because not always do they come to us after school or before school or during the summer. So we want to take advantage of the time that we have them. We're, of course, doing some things with C&I. Karen is chomping at the bit to be able to purchase some things that teachers have found useful from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. So we're excited about some of the resources that we'll get. The counselor and parent coordinator, finishing that at all the elementaries is a blessing for sure. And of course, she talked about some of the other things that we've needed for a long time and I've put off and put off and put off. Did you have a question?
I do. I see that on page 5, we have a substitute pay increase, $300,000. Do they participate in the 3%, and what does that calculate at as the hour?
It's not part of the 3%. What we're doing is increasing the pay on Fridays. We had a really hard time getting subs on Fridays. Tony, do you want to come up and kind of talk about how we're doing step increases for substitutes and trying to recruit and retain those folks so they'll stay with us and not go to other districts?
We found that our base pay is competitive with districts around us, and we have a lot of substitutes on the books, but getting them to be here all the time is difficult. And so what we asked to do is, of course, increase the pay by $15 on Fridays, because Fridays were, those principals that are sitting out here, they know that Fridays were difficult to get substitutes. And then also, we already have in place where if a substitute works 20 days, they get an additional $200. You guys did that long ago. And I think some districts have copied us on that now. But what we would like to do then is to reward those that work a lot of days with us. And so after the initial $200, they work 20 more days, it would go up to $250. If they work 20 more days, that would go up to $300. So it would be a step to try to entice them to work more days as substitutes for us. So that's what that is.
So right now, there's no increase in the pay for the subs?
No, ma'am, we felt we were competitive with surrounding districts. We compared ourselves to surrounding districts. The only increase in pay is going to be on Fridays because we want to entice people to substitute on Friday.
And that's an extra $15?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Tony. We talked about this being a grant, Deanne. So, any additional personnel that's added in this, will they have to continue to sign the agreement that when that grant ends?
Yes. In fact, we only are adding the one accountant. You want to talk about that?
Yes, everyone is required to sign that, and that's for audit requirements as well. So that's just part of it. They have to sign it twice a year, in fact. So that's just the way, we don't have a choice because it's paid out of federal dollars. But we are adding a grant accountant because we have over $200 million, and I just don't have the staff that can do that. However, I do know that I've got several people that's going to retire within my department in the upcoming years. So I'm confident that that will easily be absorbed. So.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of Carla at this point in time?
Thank God for Esther, huh?
Pardon?
Thank God for Esther.
Yes, no kidding, no kidding. Okay, or then the additional personnel, do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, if you want to.
Anybody have any questions? Let's go ahead and get this on the table. Do I hear a motion for consideration and possible approval of additional personnel reorganizations and reclassifications for the 2021-2022 school year?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Kendrick, seconded by Ms. Sullivan. Discussion?
So you can see here, there are the 59 teachers. She talked about the elementary, middle, and of course, intermediates. Again, we met with principals face-to-face. We had a meeting with them to discuss about the priorities that they had. I emailed and said that some of them want to focus primarily on academic intervention, but there's also that behavior or social-emotional intervention as well. These teachers that we hired could be easily absorbed, like Carla was saying, after the grant is over, for positions that we have available when that time comes. But there's also a need with the new legislation that counselors will not be involved in testing. So like the intermediates, we're saying they're going to need some additional help with testing. I see one of the intermediate principals back there shaking their head. So there may be some tweaks on how they use these positions. Talked to a high school principal this weekend, and they're really brainstorming how it will make the most of impact for their campus. But we're asking one for each campus. Summit is a little bit different. You can see down here, there's a drug and alcohol counselor. So each campus is a little different and has unique needs. So those are there. There are some additional teachers in general that campuses have needs for special education. You can see there. We are looking at a new elementary assistant principal at campuses that are over 750, so they'd have a second AP. And y'all help me out, ASCDs, that's at Teague and at May Smith. And we just transitioned one from Fisher to May Smith, which y'all approved today, and this one would be for Teague Elementary. It's been growing and growing and continues to grow. And then, of course, these are some C&I positions that would help our campuses greatly. And then, of course, support positions we have listed there. We definitely see a need in all of these areas. And again, it goes on to page 2, and you can see the estimated cost for each. And then we talked a little bit about the class size reduction already. So I don't know if there's any questions about these. I can definitely answer. But these are positions we feel like if we don't take action, I know it's a quick turnaround, but it's that domino effect of posting it, waiting the proper time for posting, then interviewing and hiring. And then, of course, once we get that position in place, we've got to do the same for wherever that person comes from. There's also other districts that are competing for these people. Lots of deadlines coming up about resignations, being able to even get out of your current contract. So we just want to be as timely as possible because Pasadena ISD is not the only district doing this right now. So we want to be as quick and competitive as possible. Yes, ma'am.
What's the situation on the ROTC? Is that overall or one specific?
It's Pasadena Memorial. They've been sharing for some time with South Houston High School. So Jeremy has asked many years for his own ROTC program. So we think this is the time now to make that happen. So South Houston would keep their program and Pasadena Memorial would grow theirs. They think by being at home, they're going to have much greater interest because they're not going to have to travel back and forth, as well as they would welcome Tegler students to participate in that ROTC program as well. So it gives those kids another outlet and opportunity.
Thank you.
When we're
It worked out
talking,
beautifully with our welding, so we think it'll work well here as well.
when we're talking about reclassification, reorganizations, we're talking, you've I believe, lump summed it all together. For example, one that I think caught my attention was the police. And I think the number on there was, I don't remember what the number was. That's total, lump sum total, right?
What we're losing is our police officers after their 5th year.
Okay.
They're going on to other departments that pay greater than what we pay
Right.
here. And y'all, again, as a board, have been increasing that pay each year that I've been superintendent, but we are outpaced. So what Chief asked for was a stipend that once they hit that 5-year mark, they're given that opportunity to get that additional pay. And it's for all of our officers.
Okay.
Just our officers, not our,
Tell me the dollar amount of that.
Okay. I'm sorry.
51,000.
I know, each officer.
That's what I'm asking. Is that a total?
No,
or
it's
is
a
that
total.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I will get that for you.
Okay.
Carla, you gonna go get that?
To me, that was just,
It's
it
in
was
my office.
confusing.
I don't want to misquote you on how many officers we have currently because it changes.
I understand.
So let me get you the exact information so that you have that. But it is a lump sum, so
Okay.
it's a.
That's what I was asking. And there were several in there like that had large amounts, but I figured that it was lump sum. But it would be nice if it was broken down
Okay.
into numbers.
Dan,
Yes.
so it was 51,000 in the On the sheet, it says 17 people, which would be $3,000.
Okay, that makes good sense to me. Thank you.
It's like phone a friend.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Hickman.
Any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, then we will act on consideration and possible approval of additional personnel reorganizations and reclassifications for the 2021-2022 school year. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it, motion carries. So we are part of the way through the budget process, a little of the way
A
through.
little of the way, that's
Yep.
correct.
So-
More information to come, for sure.
Okay, very good. No further business to come before this board, so I declare this meeting adjourned at 10:27 p.m. a.m. I'm used to p.m.